No, with all sense of responsibility, I don't. However, the reality is that it appears to be true. And what do I mean by that? As far back as 2010, a military operation was implemented in Plateau State called Operation Safe Haven. Now, this is 14 years since that operation has been in place. And if I am going to look back to analyze the performance of that military operation, the fact that you and I are having a conversation about the killing of 30 persons, and this is just a few days ago. Before then, over 100 people were killed. So it will be almost impossible to say that that military operation is successful. And I'm going to call squarely on the state legislature as well as the national legislature to ask the critical question: why is it that we are not asking questions around the mandate of these operations? These operations are meant to be stopgap operations. And if one is going on for 14 years and has not met its objective, why are we still funding the operation? How, you can't continue an activity that is not successful in all ramifications. And I'm not putting the blame, as it were, on the military. Perhaps the dynamics in Plateau State does not need a military operations. And that's why I mentioned that several commissions of inquiry have been, both administrative and judicial, have been implemented, and their reports have been submitted. So perhaps what we need, more or less, is something like restorative justice. Restorative justice that would bring the two sides together, that would harmonize them, so that they can together face the common enemy. You mentioned that in your conversation you did interview a former member of the legislature from Plateau State. You also interviewed a state government official. But it would be interesting that you also interview perhaps someone from the Hada community, the Fulani community, so that you hear from them their grievances. And if we're going to pursue restorative justice, the two sides need to come together. Now, whether their claim is logical or not, transformative justice would require that we hear that grievance. Whether it is real or perceived, that grievance needs to be addressed. So my point is that the legislature, especially at the federal level, need to ask critical questions regarding the military operation, how it's being funded, and if it's not appropriate for the crisis, the conflict, then perhaps we should look at another solution. I am, not supportive of the continued funding of an operation that is not really yielding us the fruit. So pursue transformative justice, pursue restorative justice, and then more importantly, the politicians need to invest in peace building by pursuing a governance style that preaches equity, that provides for inclusion, and of course that is also have diversity elements in it. So if we have all of these three things in governance, I think perhaps would look back and say, yes, we are making progress. But as of now, I don't see these two things that I've mentioned in terms of how the legislature at the state level and at the federal level is asking critical questions regarding how military operations are being implemented, and then in terms of the pursuance of a governance that preaches equity, diversity, and inclusion. The third point I would like to emphasize is the capacity of the state government to monitor the activities of federal security agencies. I don't know who the Commissioner of Security is in Plateau State. We haven't heard his voice. So perhaps the competence of that commissioner would also need to be asked. If he's competent, then perhaps he should be empowered by the state governor so that we can see more of his ability to manage the role that the federal security agencies are playing. But bottom line, I don't think that statement by the representatives of Khan in Plateau State is helpful in the current circumstances. I do not also think that the military or any of the security agencies are taking sides in the crisis. What is important is for leadership, political leadership, religious leadership, ethnic leadership, to call a spade and tell themselves the truth. They need to live together as one.
So you guys have heard this man, right? You've heard him and what he has to say, and unbelievable, my brothers and sisters. The country is, to me, one of the worst in the world. Absolutely one of the worst in the world when it comes to police response. absolute disgrace. No, we can say everything we want to say. We can call it a community thing. We can say, oh, this and that. But first thing is first. You have all this information. There's all of this information out there. How come they don't have a special department in the police looking at these things? What do they pay them money for? I don't understand it, my brothers and sisters. Is this normal? What kind of Nigeria is this? What kind of giant of Africa are we talking about? This is a joke, man. It's a fucking joke. Literally. What are we talking about, giant of Africa? Giant of where? You're giant of nothing, mate. Talking about being giant of Africa. Where? Where are you giant of Africa? Which Nigeria are you giant of Africa? So you all have heard this man speak, right? You've heard his take, and I to an extent I agree with him. I agree with everything he's saying, But one thing I want that we must do more is to make the police accountable for all of these things, because to be fair, the people in charge of security and the enforcement of the law and the protection of life and property in a country is the police. Tinubu does not have a day experience of being a police officer. He has never been a police officer, so I don't expect him to have any experience whatsoever or know what to do about these things. I expect the police heads to know. I'm not even talking about military now. Army are not supposed to intervene within the country, except as some kind of situation where it's unavoidable, then they step in. But come on, man. Nigerian police have to do more. They have to show that they are like, what do they do anyways? Why do they even pay them money? It's unacceptable, man. It's as if they don't even understand their role in society. Because when you hear them talk about these people on television, yeah, they start saying security services, and I'm wondering, wait a minute, what is this about? The last one, the one on Plateau before in Christmas Eve, it was the security services need to do security services. We like saying shit like this, man. We even call them bandits. Bandits? Is he like Billy the Kid? Or what? What is this thing? You're talking about terrorists. You're talking about murderers, killers, kidnappers. You calling them bandits? Mate, nobody in the world says bandit. The only time you hear bandits is in the Western movie. What is this thing? Why do we like use it? Like the other time, they call it palliative. What the fuck is this? Who says these things? Why do we come up with this shit? I know it's correct in English, yes, the right term, but nobody uses it. When they hear this bandits outside, it seems that you're talking about men on horseback. Bro, these people are kidnappers. These people are gunmen. These people are robbers, killers, murderers. We call them bandits. This sounds so, clean. Bandits. What is that? Then security services. We don't get sense. We don't get sense. So we call them bandits. We don't on radio, for TV. We call them bandits. Who be bandits? What is that? Call them what he is, a murderer, a terrorist. Say it's bandits. Now they've gone around killing people again. Nobody's gonna get arrested. They know the hot spots, they know the areas, but we're not gonna get chopper view, we're not gonna get helicopter patrols, we're not gonna get patrols. You need active patrols in a country. You need to have a responsive police. In other parts of the world, you have the situation where they tell us the response time. What is the response time of the police? There's no response time. You call Nigerian police, they tell you they don't have fuel. That's how disgusting they are. They don't have fuel. You need to buy fuel for them. And in fact, what is the number they call the Nigerian police, people? What is the emergency numbers? Are you gonna bring out 1080 number, or what is that? Or are you gonna say, oh, Lagos they have, or Abuja they have in Abuja, they have in Lagos? No, it should be a centralized number, like 3 digits or 4 maximum. 222 777. Something that you can remember on the back of your head. And then you should be put through to a call center where they route you, where they send police straight to your location. If I step out, if I look out my window, I live in England, yeah? If I look out my window and I see 2 people fighting, I pick up my phone and phone police. In 7 minutes max, no 7, less than that, 5-7 minutes, police are out there. Less than that, I said people are fighting. 4-5 minutes, there'll be police out there. Quick, this is as little as people fighting. If you cannot call police for as little as people fighting, then your country has no business talking about investors. The Nigerian police need to sit up. They need to go meet Innocent or Meccano Cars and all those people, those Nigerian, local made vehicles, and start buying patrol cars and going on patrols of 3 or 4 patrols. People in the car are just driving around the communities. In each local government, 4 or 5 patrols at minimum, with 4 people in the cars to respond to any crime in that local government area. When I was in South Africa, they used to have this thing, they said, you can't go 5 minutes without seeing the South African police drive past you. They're on patrol. That's how it should be. Nigeria needs to wake up. You have to implement patrol system. You know the hot spots. You apply more officers in those areas. You have all this information. You have all the stats. You go and get things done. They need to get a centralized number, an emergency number that you can phone the whole of Nigeria, where you can call and say, Nigeria, this is the police. We need the police here. Somebody is here trying to break into our house, and there must be a response. What's your address? We've got your ping on your phone already. You can see where you're calling from. We're coming. They should have that software that once you phone them, they can see your location and where this call is coming from. Because even in the States or places like that, if you make a call like that to an emergency number and you don't say anything, there'll be police in front of your door. Because already that call, that phone is registered to some person, and we got BVN. So that means your phone has a BVN, and that BVN should have an address linked to it. They should trace you straight home. But anyways, who am I? There's no one. But anyway, I can talk about this thing for ages. So we'll talk about this in the next video. Peace.